Welcome back to Real Tech Talk, people. E Breezy, the big man, is on the mic once again. This week, we are talking about revolutionary real estate. That is the whole point of you watching this show. I'm bringing on the technology that's changing the game. If you're not watching it, you are not going to know. You are not going to be in the know, and it's not going to change, and we are going to innovate and blow you out of the water. So how could you not be watching this week, Grant Weiss, Rockval? Oh, you don't know about it. Look at that. That's why you're supposed to be watching this show. Come hear my man speak, because what he's doing could change that game of which you and I are playing in. So let's go. Welcome back, baby.
That's why we're here, bro. This is Real Tech Talk. Boom shakalaka. So who the hell are you, bro? You know, what are you into? What do you do? Dude, you can keep it real here. Tell me about these real estate players.
Eric Brody is the managing principal of CEMVC LLC. All opinions expressed by Eric and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of CEMVC LLC. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Clients of CEMVC LLC may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Next episode, Real Tech Talk. This week, coming at you live with some brand spanking new technology. This one could change my game personally, and that is the whole point of this premise. Let's just go back. It's supposed to be technologies that make us better. Builder, developers, managers are the ways that you live in our assets, right? That is why we're here. How can we translate what these amazing people are doing into tidbits that we understand that makes us better? Now, this gentleman is from the hottest town on earth today, South Florida. They too are producing technologists. It's not only the Middle East. It's not only New York. They actually can also come from the Sunshine State. Today, my guest is Grant Weiss, not Grant Cardone. Grant Weiss, soon to be bigger than Grant Cardone of Rockval. How you doing, player? Thank you for coming.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. Grant Cardone, who's that?
You never heard of that guy?
Of course I know.
So listen, I got to meet Grant at a conference a few months ago, and what he had told me about, which I think is just actually game-changing, and what we're going to jump into immediately, is this technology. So Grant, what I always like to ask is, before you started this tech game, okay, what was the problem that you'd identified that you even were thinking of applying the technology to? So what did you identify? What was the issue?
Yeah, so should I go into a little bit more on what the technology does, or should I premise what I was doing in the industry?
Like, why did you even, I'd rather hear like the actual story as to why you even gave a shit to come up with a problem that you were thinking of solving. Like, what was it? You know, where were you?
For sure. So I was actually back at school when this first started.
Where'd you go?
I went to Cornell.
So you came to New York. I mean, come on. You didn't stay in your state? I thought you were a product of South Florida, bro.
So Cornell Finance and Real Estate, we were using this legacy platform for discounted cash flow analysis.
So what does that mean to the normal person? So a legacy platform, meaning an old platform.
Right.
What was it? Excel modeling that you're saying?
It was actually Argus.
Argus. Okay.
So running Argus,
which is an acronym, right? Argus is a platform for, I guess, multifamily inputs of data on an asset, correct?
So it's all asset classes. Mm-hmm. But essentially, you put in some inputs, it spits out cash flow analysis, and it's really more for banks and different institutions to communicate on the same language. So if you're an analyst, you have your own Excel model. I'm an analyst. I'm a bank. I have my own Excel models. We need some type of medium to communicate, for like terms, so that
in order to write debt for it, or in order to agree with the borrower's underwriting analysis?
Right. So like if you're a life co and you're putting money behind a sponsor, or if you're a bank, you want to ensure that your numbers are meeting a certain criteria. So if the sponsor's underwriting their Excel model, you're just making sure, because you have to go be responsible to all of your LPs as a life co, or if you're Prudential or whoever, you have a certain level of responsibility to,
So what you're saying is even if they're a bank and even if they're a life insurance company, they have underwriting parameters even to deploy capital into deals that could potentially make them money.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And in order to have this language, Argus is basically a product that they were using because what? It standardized the way that they all look at it and they were speaking all the same language? Exactly.
But the process for going through training and learning how to use the software, it's so daunting to so many. And
why? When was it built?
So the original one, I'm going back a few years when the premise
like a year? You look like you're fucking like 22, player. I mean, how many years are we talking about here?
So it's actually, you're talking about almost 8 years ago.
Damn!
Yeah.
Well, tech, that's like dog years in tech, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So 56 years ago in technology.
So I graduate from school. I'm like, I could create a better solution. And the issue was...
Why did it need a better solution, though?
It was just hard to use. I talked to people in the industry. They didn't use it. A lot of people don't use certain softwares because they're very complicated. Mm-hmm. And if they're not working with an institution that requires it, they're not going to use it unless it actually makes your life easier.
Okay.
So
so it's a language that was created, but not everyone is actually using it. Many institutions, It's just too complex. So what were they using? What did they default to?
Excel.
Okay.
Excel.
So the industry's running on Excel, even in the most... And what I don't think people understand is when you talk about Lifeco and you talk about insurance funds, you're talking about billions.
Right.
Deploying billions of dollars across the country, if not the world, right?
Exactly.
And still running on Excel as even as close as 8 years ago.
No, it's today.
It's today,
for sure. There's still a lot of companies that operate on Excel, but the thing is if you can have one software that communicates the exact same inputs, then you don't have to worry about learning another analyst's Excel model. All you have to worry about is what goes into that software, because even if you don't agree with what comes out of the software, your inputs are the same.
Right. And so you're saying that not only was this Argus sort of like clunky and old, you needed to learn Argus's language in order to take these formulas and the math that you were using, have Argus interpret it to give a result that was consistent for the industry.
Exactly.
Right? And you're like, then that's a waste of time. Was that the problem that you identified?
So the issue was it was very expensive at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It still is, in my opinion.
Well, your opinion is why we're here. God damn it. We want your opinion.
And it didn't, from the people in the industry, it doesn't necessarily make your life easier. It doesn't automate certain pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really, there's so many people that would rather dive into Excel than, and it's not just Argus, it's any other DCF software that just...
We'll stop. DCF.
Discounted cash flow analysis software.
Okay. Which is basically a premise of how you can calculate the value of an investment over time, right?
Exactly.
Which is the basic premise of investing in any type of real estate, right?
Right.
Put the dollar in, what do I make in X amount of years,
Exactly.
whether through value add or appreciation, right? The very basic tenet of real estate.
Right. And the way I explain that piece to people is I think triple net's probably the easiest way to explain that. It's like if you're going to buy a Starbucks triple net today, and it gives you $1,000 a month for 10 years. You have
but just so people know triple net, meaning that the landlord, when you say triple net, has zero expenses because technically you got taxes, you got water and sewer, you got utilities, you got a million different costs.
Right.
So what we're talking about and what you're trying to just make it easy is think of it as whatever income I say is clean, straight to the owner, triple net.
Exactly.
Fine.
Exactly. So you have a Starbucks.
Boom.
$1,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
or obviously it's not $1,000 a month, but it's $1,000.
Well, maybe in like the North Pole it is.
Yeah, so let's just say $1,000 a month. Every year it goes up by 3% consistently according to their lease. They have a 10-year lease. You know exactly how much cash flow you should have over a 10-year period.
Mm-hmm.
And then for investing, $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. So it's if I discount that money back at a certain rate, what am I willing to pay for rights to all of that cash flow in the future?
Correct. And there needs to be an arbitrage or a difference between the $1,000, what you would pay for a 3% return on it today.
Right.
Okay. And the difference between those two is the money you're making. Got it.
Right.
Perfect. So now you're in school, you're putzing around with Argus. So then what?
Exactly. So I graduate. I work for a multifamily developer, work for a family office.
Where were you?
In Florida.
So you go back to the roots.
I go back to the roots. Nights and weekends, I'm learning how to code.
Which, by the way, can we just like step off for just 1 second?
Yeah.
How was the talent when you talk about tech in Florida? Were you like one of the only people actually dealing with tech, or do you think that there's a robust tech scene down there?
Honestly,
no. I want you not to be honest. Of course, be honest with me, player.
Robust tech scene. It's actually hard. I think what you've seen with layoffs and all these other companies, and the FANG companies and people.
What's
really
FANG? Just for my audience,
Facebook, Amazon.
Not Netflix.
Oh,
Google,
it was
right?
Netflix and then Google.
Okay,
right?
So like the big tech companies that are running publicly, FANG companies. Gotcha.
Right. So the culture, the development culture is different in the U.S. Too. And what I've found is at the early stages, it's very challenging.
Right. Well, I think it's probably challenging to find good people regardless. I was just thinking that the talent itself, just because the technical schools, even you coming from Florida, you came up here to New York to kind of get that talent. But let's go back. So now you go back. But by the way, you're not in tech. You were in finance, right? And you said finance and real estate?
Finance and real estate.
So you weren't in technology.
I didn't know what HTML was.
Okay.
And then nights and weekends, I didn't have my early 20s.
Yeah.
I didn't have a nightlife. Like nights and weekends, I just learned how to code and I built this.
So for you identified that a sort of one of the things that you were missing in order to be in the tech scene was the tech side, right?
Right.
And that's because of your frustration with this program?
So for whatever reason, I said I didn't.
Well, you said you went to work for multifamily. So what happened when you went there?
So they were actually using something that was built on top of Excel. And they're like, yeah, if you can replace this, like you've got it.
Oh, wow.
So that's actually where so the original Rockval wasn't supposed to have development models in there. It was just acquisitions.
Well, let's get to the problem. So the problem you're stating is you just said now when you went to actually go to work, they were also on Excel. And then what did you say? You were like, this is terrible. They're like, all right, then you come up with the solution?
So they were using another software, not Argus, that was built on top of Excel. And you would go to try to put a model together and it would take you 10 times longer. And
it's inefficient.
It's
right?
inefficient.
Modeling is inefficient.
Right.
Right. So what people might understand is like you think you see a deal, we call it like back of the napkin analysis. But really, when you're diving in and we're talking about millions of dollars, people really need to dive in. That position is called an analyst, right? All of these young men and women come out of school, finance backgrounds, and their whole job all day, right? And it's literally like, it's almost like indentured servants underwriting deals, right?
Exactly.
Like all day, the same stuff. And then when one is good, they're like, I think we have one, right?
Yeah.
And then the fun stuff just starts, no?
Exactly.
That is basically, right? So you had a whole squad of businesses, a squad of like employees called analysts.
Right.
And that's what they were in the real estate
game. And that's what I was. And what we would do is we would have this model. We would go grab some comps. We'll say, this is the subject property. This is the property we're looking at. These are 3 properties in this market. Okay, compare the amenities. Do your comp adjustments, and then run a model over and over and over and over.
And I got to tell you,
again.
your back is quite straight. You are quite tall. I think that everyone in this game would be like all hunched over and fucked up. You're looking pretty good, so I guess you were stretching out also, huh?
I do yoga.
Okay, you got to keep that spine long, you know?
That's it.
But I see you in some room. By the way, in the Floridian you are without the tan. Now I know why you were like behind the screen, dude. You didn't even move for years.
I'm still coding. I'm still coding.
So, okay, so now you're realizing this problem. Like, I don't want to do this for my life, I guess, right? Like, what happened?
So it's also, the cloud was just coming about at that point in time. It wasn't, everything's cloud now.
Which, by the way, like, and it's funny you say that in like such a cavalier fashion. This company came to me and said, here's project management software in the cloud. And I point to my server. I'm like, my server's right there. She's great, right? And they're like, but that's not the point. People don't really understand what the cloud is, right? And I don't want to get into it because I didn't memorize it, but there's like 5 characteristics of it. One is like, You have access anywhere, right?
Yeah.
One is that you could pay to extend the amount of space you need and reduce it in any moment, right?
Right.
And there's like 3 other ones that I don't want to state now, but that idea, which you and I today are like cloud, was unheard of, right?
For sure. And years and years, and I've worked with companies that had years of performance done. They had years of comp analysis done. And they had no way of retaining all of the information that so what deals have they passed on? Which deals do they pursue? What was their data retention policy? That's a whole nother topic.
No, but it's so
everything
true.
that a human being does should be in some fashion recorded for the value that it brings to the entity, right? So if you have a bunch of analysts underwriting deals for years, which ones do we pass on? Which ones do we bring forward? Oh, is there a deal? Can my system, can my algorithm automatically trigger a deal that I passed on long ago because new market information is available? So there's so many things that we can do and that we're doing at Rockval that streamline the entire process.
Okay. So I agree with you. By the way, in construction, people talk about it all the time. Imagine you had doing construction for 30 years, and what have you learned? Nothing except what the last thing that you actually did was, right? People would be shocked to know, even in these sophisticated agencies, when that analyst leaves, the data and understanding of that analyst leaves. And it's like, look, that's a smart person. You can have other smart people, but you can have all of these data sets that are working for you.
Right.
Okay, so is that where Rockval was born, in that inefficiency?
So going back, so it wasn't always a data platform. So it was really, the initial platform was just DCF. It was building a cash flow modeling system to compete with Argus.
That you were using internally within this company.
Right.
You were you basically were like, all right, I'm going to now program what's in my brain. I'm going to learn how to program.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's interesting. So most people are playing sports and have hobbies. And for Grant Weiss, it was what? What'd you read? HTML for Dummies?
So I don't even know what it was then. There was like YouTube resources. There was books. Now you have so many resources. For software development, it's easy.
Really?
It's easy.
It's daunting to me when I think about it.
The deep parts of it are you really have to know what you're doing. That's the other part about talent. Anybody can say, yeah, I can create an API. I can create a piece of software, but for people to really know what they're doing, to actually add value to the organization, that's the real test. But there's so many boot camps out there that people are graduating and they sound good on paper and you put them to work and it's just like, it's challenging. It's very challenging.
So at night now,
yeah,
you're like, fuck it, I'm going to learn this software. You're now, that's what you're doing at night. I was going to nightclubs.
Yeah.
I'd find you behind your computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, bring this original Rockval to market.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was internally at a company where you basically decided to learn how to program and then created a program.
Right. But on my own time, my own dime.
Yeah, but weren't they saying to you, bring it to us, we want to use it?
Oh, sure.
And you did. Like the first beta test is you literally being an analyst, getting paid a salary,
right?
Side hustle, let me learn how to program some software. And you're bringing software because you're like, it's inefficient that there's all this data and yet I'm recreating the wheel every single time. That was basically what you're saying. And the only product on the market is this thing called Argus, which is also dog shit.
Right. And then, but there was this other software that was built on top of Excel that was also just horrible.
And it was confusing you as well.
Right.
Fine.
It was just confusing everybody.
Okay.
But it was also just taking forever to just load a deal. Like it's very challenging. So fast forward, I have the software, bring it to market, but it's challenging because if you're trying to, that's the other thing about software is if there's an incumbent, you can't incrementally beat the incumbent. You can't just have like a little bit better solution. The pricing can be different, but even if the solution was built, if Blackstone's using a software and you build a software that's a little bit better than that software that they're using,
they won't move.
Not a chance.
Can't move the human off.
Not
of that.
a chance.
All right, so hard stop. 2 new things that we need to talk about. Number 1, I have a Jamie. His name is Max. Max has learned how to put up and airdrop your text. So we are actually going to see it today. This is a first time world premiere on the Real Tech Talk podcast. We are actually going to see Rockval. So now what I want to hear that high level. We get the background.
Right.
I get why you did it. We don't completely understand your brain that you're doing software on the side, okay? What is Rockval to our audience? 30 seconds. Remember, they're not as smart as you. Let me hear it.
I'm not that smart. So
we want to believe, okay?
All right. So you're an investor. You're an investment sales broker.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find your deal. You need to find an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put together financial cash flows for that opportunity. And you need to share that opportunity with your client.
Mm-hmm.
So we provide you with the data, the infrastructure to find your deal. We provide you with the full workflow to do your underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the numbers around this deal? And then we give you the whole reporting package to say, hey, here's a nice little packet, Mr. Client, Mr. LP, invest in my deal or buy this deal in about 30 seconds.
Which is 30 seconds from what you would have been a day for you,
Right.
minimum, right?
Because we've integrated with the top tier data partners.
Wait, let's go back and then we're going to talk about it. So basically what you're telling me, and I'm a builder developer,
Right.
we have a zillion freaking variables every time I'm underwriting something, nuance and variables. And even if I had a full, perfect vacuum of every deal out there, I could literally miss opportunities because I literally just don't have the time to
Correct.
get to that deal. Now I'm hiring a ton of analysts, they're smart, benefits still costing me 100, and I don't even know what they're making, 100 G's, 80 G's, right? Because I guess their value is in being able to identify. Now, I'm not even getting that full output. You're saying, no, we're going to provide a solution. We're going to take your old data or onboard that data, or we're going to scrape data that's out there from our partners, and we're going to make that process easy for you to at least sift through this information faster to be able to make a decision.
Exactly.
So don't you think then, first off, wild. I want to be clear in my position as a builder developer in the city. The value of what you're saying now, there's a big difference between talking about it and being about it, because look, real estate is all ROI, tech is all problem solving. If it works, that's a game changer, right? Because what was it? Sam Zell was talking always about the inefficiencies in the deals, and that's how he found it. You're like, there's no more inefficiency.
Right.
We know everything that you don't know. Right. So how did you go about solving that? So now tell me, so what did you do? So how did you create that solution? And that is Rockval. So boom. What is it?
So just going back, Rockval version 1, just cash flow analysis. Rockval version 2, it's data, AI, plus cash flow analysis, right? So bolting on data partners, we have every property parcel in the country. We've integrated with CMBS, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, which is all structured debt. And the part about structured debt is they have to do quarterly, annual reports, right? So you have all this operating, like this building that we're in, if this was a Fannie Mae deal, we would know exactly how much this building is making, and we can make inferences about what's going on in that market.
Do you have my boy LD's data in your platform?
We do. We have Cherry's data.
Oh,
we have Cherry's
shit,
data.
He's official, people.
Yeah.
This is official.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So we have Cherry, we have TREP, we have SafeGraph, we have CompStack. We have all these data providers. We're going to continuously bolt on data providers to give you you click on a property, you have so much market visibility instantly. Then the secret sauce is coming out next to where we do automated underwritings against every property in the country.
But from each person, like you were saying, likes to underwrite slightly differently. Everyone got a nuance.
Yeah.
Are you going to allow them to sort of use their nuanced underwriting and then the AI will repeat the way that they want to see it? Or is it going to be you're going to do the Argus, I'm going to standardize it, which kind of falls into that trap of like, then I have to do it your way. Are they allowed to do it their way?
So they can do it their way.
Wait, who's that? Is that Mickey D's or is that Burger King? Do it your way?
Do it your way. Is that Wendy's maybe?
Oh, maybe Wendy's? Whatever. You know what I'm saying. So you're doing Wendy's, BK, McDonald's.
Do it
We're
your
not
way.
sure. Oh, we're going to find out. Do it your way.
No, what is it?
It is Burger King.
Right.
Okay.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Glad we stopped everything to figure it out. We got Rockval, a.k.a. Burger King. Do it your way.
Jeez.
So it is going to be do it your way?
So you log in, blank canvas.
Mm.
We give you, so you have deals, right? You buy, it's a value add deal. Building's not optimally running, right? From an asset management perspective. you have repositioning. So you have all these different deal scenarios that we can present you. And then you as a user can say, I want to change this. I want to change this. I want to change this. Here's my kind of underwriting profile. And then we can apply the system to use that same methodology going forward.
Okay.
So it's like if you've been on Tinder. Well,
I'm too old, bro. I got married.
So dating apps, right? Dating apps.
TikTok though, it always sends me what I want to see. You know,
it's the FBI. It's the FBI agent, right? The social meme thing, right? Where it's learning as you go.
Okay.
So between that and you setting certain criteria, and then the deals that you're underwriting, we can actually present you with deals that meet that criteria as well.
Sick, dude. So tell me what we always like to ask. So where do you stand? Let's now, all right, I get it. I get the problem. I get what you're trying to solve. Where do you stand in this tech life cycle? Are you seed? Are you A? Have you raised? Is it to market? Is there MVP? Like, where's Rockval stand? Are you out there?
Yeah, we're out there. We're about to onboard a few major associations. As well as a few different brokers.
Which is basically you're about to onboard like a few zillion customers.
Exactly.
Right? That people will start using it, or are people already using it?
Yeah,
like it exists already.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. We're in the App Store. We have our mobile app done. We have our web app done. You can, log in, auto register and everything else.
Okay.
We're doing a lot of bigger deals right now.
Right, getting into that enterprise.
Exactly.
Okay, so you already have MRR, monthly recurring revenue.
Yes.
It's already out there.
Yep.
So what is the biggest resistance today? Like, what's the biggest problem that you're having right now?
I'm going through rapid iteration cycles on product. You do a demo with anybody in the industry, they're like, I need that tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I needed that.
Yeah, real estate is like, if it doesn't work perfectly without me having to learn anything, it's like, forget it, right?
And that's the biggest thing. We're trying to, I call it the bamboo strategy. So, about bamboo grows underground for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then in 90 days, it's 120 feet tall.
And you can't seem to ever, and the other thing is, you cut it always comes back, right? There's no way to get rid of it.
Right. So what we're doing is every user that comes on the platform, we're getting our metrics down to say, okay, somebody did a deal in 2 minutes the first time they logged in. Mm-hmm. Somebody came back in the platform the next day, and making sure that we get that user engagement dialed in, because I've seen companies waste millions of dollars on marketing and pushing a product that doesn't work. I think I was watching something with Elon Musk yesterday. A company, you're either a product or a service. Mm-hmm. If the product's good, it's a good company. If the service is good, it's a good company.
And if you're neither?
And then if you're neither, you're out of business. So if you have that product that people are logging in every day, it's a good product. Mm. I don't think people understand how hard it is to come up with a product where it's like people are addicted to it.
Yeah, what did they say? You got to get them to interface with it 2 times a day.
Right.
And funny enough, for everyone in this analyst position underwriting deals, everyone's trying to get a deal done today. It would be almost on it all day. So you might actually solve for that, and then you can figure out how to, continue to monetize all that. So your biggest friction today is just making sure that's absolutely seamless and perfect at all times to all people, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're delaying rolling out to these really large organizations, because again, we're a seed company. We've raised a few $1 million. We're scaling up the team and the product and everything accordingly, but just getting that, I call it butter. Mm. The product has to be like, you went on Uber for the first time. Nobody taught you how to use it. You just used it. It worked. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just really undervalued. And then the other
let's be honest. If the architecture is there and it's intuitive to someone who's been doing it 10 years, 2 years, 2 months.
Right.
And
that's literally the array of users that we have. We have private equity shops underwriting $150 million deals. We also have mom and pop brokers doing $2 million deals. So we have top tier institutions, and then we also have new entrants to the market.
Wow.
But because the software is very versatile, and that was part of the major challenge in putting together this, this software that can appeal to both sides.
So let me ask you this. I think that this is like a major issue that we're having in technology and real estate. Real estate, as I was stating, is like a very like black and white and binary. Like, does it work? Does it make me better? If it doesn't, prove it. And you're like, I don't prove it. You got to use the software and you tell me.
Right.
Technology is very much, we got a problem. We got to solve it. Like, we'll figure it out, right? They never play in this gray area where it seems, are you going to give a signal to these analysts, or are they still making the decision? Like, are you going to signal that it's a good deal, or that's up to them? You're going to like lay it out on a platter for them for you to decide.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where a lot of early, 5 years ago, you had so many companies that started, they're like, we're going to give you a predictive score to buy this asset. No bank is going to underwrite a score of a 9 out of 10. Because we said so. That's just it's impractical.
Right.
That software doesn't last any. I've seen that same software come and go 10,000 times, and these companies have raised millions and millions of dollars. We're a no frills platform.
Right.
Data, underwriting, reporting, like just this is your workflow.
and complementing old data or using old data to show you, and it's all in one place, and you can think about your old deals and your new deals and see it all the time.
Exactly.
And how are you pricing it? Like, what is it, a SaaS platform? Is it a monthly subscription? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So the base is $20 a month, and then we have premium. So like if you want to auto import your rent roll, if somebody sends you a rent roll of 100 units and you don't want to manually enter it all in, you just, it's a $10 premium per month.
Right. For data input. But you know what? It's still saving, because if you're paying that, not the 9 other analysts, I mean, it has value. So tell me this. It was always how we like to end, okay? And then I do a little conclusion, okay?
Right.
But you won't hear my conclusion, because that's when I talk shit about you.
There you go.
You're working your butt off. You're an entrepreneur. Tell us a little something about what you do. Oh, I think you already did. You're doing yoga. That's keeping your back straight. What else are you doing to not only be working on Rockval and traveling around the country trying to get this bad boy off the ground? What else do you do? Tell us a little something about yourself.
For sure. So I am very busy. I run the company essentially, but working out, getting back into training for a marathon and things of that nature now.
You're gonna go big.
Yeah. So gotta cut. I used to be 178 pounds. So
what are you now?
I don't know, 205.
Damn! No, I'm just kidding.
I used to get up on a Saturday and run 13 miles.
Oh God, yeah.
So
like a gazelle.
Love the fitness, love the outdoors if I can. Trying to go on
that's that hiking. South Florida. I want to ask you about your Second Amendment rights. We're going to leave that alone for this audience.
Yeah.
So listen, the most important question: why does all the weirdest shit on the internet come out of Florida? What is in the water in Florida, dude?
It's I don't know.
You grew up there, dude. I don't understand what's happening.
It's a swing state. South Florida is basically New York. That just, or like the Northeast that moved down.
Okay.
The West Coast of Florida is everybody from the Midwest. Middle of Florida, that's like very country, and just like if you're in South Florida, it's like you're in the Northeast. If you're in the middle of the Florida, like it's like you're in Alabama. So it's like there's like a huge divide right after
wrestling
Orlando.
Crocodiles there, doing some other stuff that I'm just
but we
beyond
also
me.
have like, if you've been to Orlando, it has kind of like a Vegas-y type crowd in some regards. So it's an interesting state. But South Florida, you have Miami, you have the whole
West Palm, huh?
Yeah, but like Miami,
cool kids
Miami, you have like the whole like Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
You have this very vibrant, like sexy city. You have Fort Lauderdale, which is a little bit more conservative. Then you have West Palm, and you have Palm Beach with all old money, right? And then you have Jupiter, like every golfer in the country, every sports athlete in the country lives in Jupiter.
Yeah,
that's where I personally live.
Nice. So that's why you're going to start running again.
Yeah.
So now that I have you here, and I always like to think like, look, we got these technologists. Like, obviously, you go to school for finance. You go to school working hard. You're like, you know what? On the side, I'm going to learn software.
Right.
Give me your perspective on the market in New York. Let's just talk about New York. Interest rates rising. You got Related heading south. Like, what do you think is going to happen here?
It's challenging. We actually just published an article today with M2 Equity, and they're like, our investors say deploy in business-friendly states. I don't know. Like it is what it is. Texas, Florida, Arizona, you have the Carolinas. You have a few states that are just very welcoming to businesses, and have a little bit. I don't know how to say this, like politically correct, but
they want the business there.
Yeah, they want
instead
the business
of trying
there.
to hammer it into that, But what do you think then for the future of New York over the next year and 5 years? I mean, you're here. You got to hang out. Half your clients are here.
For sure.
And they're underwriting deals here. You are seeing the data.
I think you're going to see a big swing to get to be pro-business again in the next 5 years in New York.
Do you think there's an opportunity here now that the market is dropping to come back?
For sure.
And be interesting. Look, I would grill you for the end of time to ask you about, because I know I can actually communicate with you about where that opportunity is, how to look at the underwriting, and comparing that to the rest of the country. I mean, that value, to me, if you start to aggregate everybody's underwriting, is invaluable. So listen, I got to end this bad boy because otherwise we got to edit way too much. And then Max, has to do this all night long, and I'm like a driver of him, make him stay up. So we really appreciate you coming through and traveling. I think it's 1,800 miles to come see us. So, look, people will travel to be on the show, which I think is a testament to its success. So thank you so much for coming through, brother, man. I really do appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. See you.
You know how this game works, people. You know why you're here. At the end of the day, you have to listen to me rant on whether I think that what came in actually made sense. Now, again, why did I do this? I'm looking for technology that makes me better. A better builder, a better developer, a better manager, or the way you live in my asset. Imagine what this guy is saying. He's taking your data, and he's not even aggregating it yet to the big data that he's pulling into the platform. And he's saying, this is how you looked at deals over the last X amount of years. These are deals you passed on. These are deals you aren't passing on. And then he's going to standardize how you look at deals. If that creates efficiency of 5%, you should hire him. If that creates efficiency of 10%, you should name your first child after him. But in my opinion, if you could actually see that data at any time, it's revolutionary. His costs will go through the roof. You better jump on now so that you're a premier client. But to me, I can't wait to test it out, because if he starts to standardize what I'm doing, I will be seeing more deals than you. And when I see the deal, I'm going to know faster than you are, react faster than you to doing the deal. That is an advantage. That is why we're here. And that is why we have this show. So for me, Grant is definitely someone I'm watching, and I will put my money where my big mouth is in a few weeks. So stay tuned. Check it out. This show is hot.